Hello, hello, you beautiful, brilliant minds. Okay, so today's live stream is brought to you courtesy of one of my clients who just had an epic transformation raising her self-esteem. So all she wanted to do was not be a people pleaser. She felt like she had a hard time saying no, especially at work. Her boss was giving her just loads and loads of work that were other people's works to do. And even the boss was giving her load of work and then taking credit for it. And she was having a really tough time saying like, hey, that's not okay. So all she wanted to do was stop being a people pleaser and to be able to stand up for herself. So we had a rapid transformational hypnotherapy session where we went back inside her mind and found out what was all the people pleasing about, why. So as we went back further and further in time in her mind, to the time she was a little girl, we found out, that she really had to control her environment in order for her to feel safe in her home. She wasn't living in a super safe environment, and in order to make sure that her mom was not screaming, not hitting, not touching, not yelling, she really had to perform. She had to always be her best. She wasn't allowed to get mad. She wasn't allowed to get upset. She wasn't even allowed to be sad when her cat died. It was just like, that when her cat had passed away, she had a reaction, a normal human reaction. And as soon as she started crying, her mom, got really upset. It was too much for her mom's nervous system. And so she had to learn to basically numb her emotions. So, by the way, I'm giving you all of this information with her permission without actually going into details about who she is. So anyway, this was a few months ago. She had her session, was able to stick up for herself, but more importantly, something amazing has happened. She has actually managed to bring in more money. She ended up quitting her job and she found a better job that paid her twice as much. Her relationship with her husband has gotten a lot better, and she is actively doing things that she normally wouldn't have done. She wasn't really on a weight loss journey. She didn't really have any weight to lose, but she wasn't exactly a healthy person. Her habits were just whatever, survival habits, right? So now she finds herself being very conscious of what she puts in her body. She has this sudden urge to work out, to go for walks, to enjoy nature. And so it's really amazing how her entire life has completely shifted as a result of her self-esteem going up, because she stopped believing that she had to be a people pleaser. Now, I want to say something. She could tell that she was a people pleaser, but she wasn't exactly labeling herself as that. It was kind of hard initially for her to accept that she was a people pleaser, because she was aware that if something that was too uncomfortable was taking place, if she saw, she was telling me a story about how she saw some teenagers smoking in the park near her kids a couple of years ago, and she had no problem walking up to them and telling them to get out, like they couldn't be doing that in a park. And there were other instances where she was like, when I was really uncomfortable, I had no problem speaking up for myself. I don't tend to do anything I don't want to do. But at the same time, there are certain things that, with my friends, with my boss, that I just have a hard time speaking up about. And I don't know why, because I'm pissed. My body is telling me I'm upset. I want to say like, dude, you can't do that, but I can't. And so that was our job, to go into her subconscious and find out, well, let's see what that's all about. And that's how we found out. It was more of a the problem was more with people that gave her any kind of financial support or love. That's why she was having those struggles with her friends and with her boss, because her mom was the person who quote unquote trained her to be a people pleaser, and her mom provided financially for her, and she was also the person that would give her the most love. So her subconscious took that in as like, okay, if anybody's paying your bills or is your source of love, then you don't get to have emotions around them. You need to shut up and make sure that they love you. She, of course, had no idea, zero idea that this was happening. So it was very confusing, to say the least, that she was very vocal in other situations, but with some people, she was having a hard time. And so when she was able to get rid of that belief, when she finally found that out and she released it, oh my gosh, she was like, yeah, I feel it now. I feel it. Like it is my right to be loved by myself. Like, it really doesn't matter who else has any opinions about me or, pays me or whatever. Like, that's just, they get to pay me. Like, if I, like, her process now of her thoughts is, if I'm going to take on a job, I'm letting you pay me. I'm letting you, pay me for my time, because I'm going to make you more money, because I'm working here and I'm providing value, and you're welcome, and my friends, they're lucky to have me because I'm a great friend, and what I bring to their life is worthy. So I do get to say, I don't want to go here for brunch, or I don't want another drink. Like, you can't bully me or peer pressure me into having another drink, because I don't want to drink anymore. And it doesn't matter how you feel about it. You're lucky that I'm your friend. And she's not saying this in a cocky way. I want to make that clear. It's just that now she sees her value. She's always appreciated, that whoever employs her, she's always appreciated her friendships. She loves her friends. She loves her husband. She loves her family. But before, it was very one-sided. It was very like, okay, thank you for having me. Thank you for taking me. Please don't like ever leave me. Please don't ever stop providing for me. And now it's more like, okay, thank you for doing all that, but also you're welcome, because you also get me. And it's like breathing now, right? Because what is that saying that you can't just, this applies for money, this applies for love. Like, you can't just breathe in, right? If all you ever did was breathe in, you would like die, right? And if all you ever did was breathe out, you would also stop breathing. So now it's the flow of it. Now it's I give, I receive, I give, right? I receive, I give. And sorry, I was getting a call. So this has completely changed her life, because now there's an ebb and flow. So what I wanted to talk about today with self-esteem was for you to notice, right? Because we don't always notice. If you are like this client of mine, you might not even notice that you have self-esteem issues, because you say to yourself, well, I think I have an image in my mind of what I consider someone without self-esteem to be and act like, right? Because your brain likes to code things. Your mind likes to put things in little boxes. And so for you might be thinking that a person that has no self-esteem maybe doesn't shower, maybe they let people walk all over them, they were bullied when they were in high school or whatever. But it's so much deeper than that. It's really, really, really much deeper than that. And I encourage you to kind of take a step back right now and look at the numbers. Think about the numbers in your bank account now. Think about your body. If your body is where you want it to be, where you know it can be. Think about your relationship. If you're dating, if you're married, Even if you're divorced or in the middle of a breakup, think about how you're handling that. And if you don't really like any of the or any one of those areas of your life, or maybe all of them, if you don't feel proud of one certain area or all of them, then there might be something going on with your self-esteem that is not letting you move forward, that is telling you, no, you can't have that. So I wrote some of the most common down, so that I wouldn't forget. But one of the most common ones that I see is, and this kind of goes into the codependency issues, but this codependency is very easy to heal with a self-esteem session. So for example, if your mood depends on your husband or your boyfriend or your mom or your friends, right? If you need them to be okay with you, you need them to be in a good mood so that you can have that approval of like, okay, it's safe for me to be in a good mood. Okay, it's safe for me to work on my stuff. If you need outside validation to feel like you are worthy of having a great day, that's a red flag that you might need to work on your self-esteem, right? So another thing that I see often is, when your kids, if you have children, when your kids are being quote unquote bad, if you see that as a reason to put yourself down, if you start thinking, God, my kids don't listen to me, I must be a bad mom, or I must be a bad woman. If you start to get really angry and really lose control of your emotions and your thoughts, and you start to spiral about how much you hate life, and you're working off of all these outside sources, give me a second. If you're working off of these outside sources, then you are essentially saying, I depend on something else to make me feel good. I have to wait till my kids approve of me. When really kids thrive off when mom is happy. Kids thrive when what they see modeled matches, how they want to feel. So if you're telling your kids, do as I say, not as I do, that is your red flag that your self-esteem might need some help. So let's see. And then I wrote, okay, if your finances dictate your worth, if you're looking at your bank account and you're seeing okay, I keep struggling to pay my bills. I keep struggling to make things happen in my business. I keep struggling. And you feel like you are not where you want to be, and that you're letting that mean something about you. You're getting depressed. You're getting anxious. Then those emotions are creating your actions. When someone feels sad, depressed, like a failure, shame, what are the actions that go with that? You start living a sedentary lifestyle. You go into fight or flight. So you either get angry or you retract, and your instinct is to want to sit down, or your instinct is to want to run away with alcohol or with TV shows or by scrolling on your phone, right? And then the fourth big one that I also see is with friendships. If you cannot speak up if you're on your with your friendships, and if you're waiting for your friends to make all the plans, if you are very excited to do something but you never tell your friends, or if they poke fun of you and you don't like that and you don't say anything for fear of seeming sensitive, you're trying to manipulate the love. You're trying to manipulate the love that you receive from other people, and you're doing that by basically abandoning yourself, right? It's that little voice inside your head that says, be quiet, don't talk. You're very lucky to be in this group of people and you don't want to lose them. When in reality, you might have outgrown them. In reality, your true spirit wants to be around another group of people. Maybe the friends that you have now are the girls that matched your energy when you were okay with getting drunk, when you were okay with, partying all night. But now you really crave success, and you really crave a healthy body, and you crave a great relationship with your husband. But when you hang out with them, all you do is, complain. You guys complain about your kids, you guys complain about your husbands, and you run away from that together by getting drunk together. And the next day you feel awful. And you just know, I don't want to do this anymore. But you continue to do it because you're afraid that you're not going to find that love somewhere else. So that's a red flag. So those are the four biggest things that I see, the four biggest red flags, I should say, when it comes to self-esteem. This is a very easy fix within our TT session with Rapid Transformational Hypnotherapy, because all we literally have to do is go back into your subconscious, figure out when that became a problem, why. Most of the time, it does go back to a parent, but not always. Not always. Sometimes, actually often, it goes back to siblings. Sometimes it goes back to teachers, something a teacher said that really locked in, and it was like a tiny trauma, but it was impactful enough, because sometimes people think that they were affected by the big traumas that they remember, but sometimes a teacher said something so sharp, and it stuck like a bullet, it stung like a bullet, and it just stays, but you don't remember. And I've had quite a few clients where they're like, oh my gosh, I remember my teacher laughing at me when I was reading in front of the class now. And that made me feel like I couldn't speak up. That's where my fear of speaking in public came from. So things like that, and again, sometimes it's because of something good. Sometimes, someone had a grandparent who was very loving and very kind and very nurturing, and the grandparent was so in tune with the person that the person never really had to express themselves. Like the grandparent just knew, like, oh, my grandma just knew what I wanted. She knew that I was hungry. She could tell that I needed a bath. And so I just developed this belief that people should be able to read my mind. And now I don't understand why, they can't just read my mind, and I don't speak up, but I don't know why that's not enough for me to think the thoughts and for people to give me what I want. And so do you see how it sounds ridiculous as I'm having this conversation? You're like, well, yeah, no one's a mind reader. But subconscious doesn't think in logic. Subconscious doesn't speak English. Subconscious thinks in pictures and in emotions. So it just locks in those feelings and those memories and those pictures, and it just creates those beliefs based off of that. So if any of these feel familiar to you and you'd like to work on them, please send me a DM. Just send me a DM saying hello, or I have the links in the bio for the single issue. So if all you want to do is work on your self-esteem, and I give you that example, that girl, she worked on her self-esteem and everything shifted for her. So it might be that simple. Or if you have a few things that you want to work on, then click on the Freedom Trifecta. That's a 90-day intensive program to work on 3 different areas of your life over the span of 3 months. Okay, so this was great, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I love you. Bye.